Buckle up, because this is not a drill. Reality TV just got hit with a bombshell so explosive. It's shaking the entire love and hip-hop universe to its core. Kirk Frost and Kendra Robinson. Yes, you heard that right. A leaked sex tape. Two names, that should have never been in the same sentence, are now the centerpiece of one of the most scandalous betrayals reality TV has ever seen. And Rasheeda, oh honey, Rasheeda is not staying silent. In fact, she's gone full scorched earth, and the fallout is messy. It all started with an anonymous drop, a blurred thumbnail, a 43-second clip, and a caption that simply read, "Guess who's not so loyal after all?" Within hours, the video spread like wildfire across social media, Reddit threads, TikTok deep dives, Twitter conspiracies, but it wasn't until fans recognized the tattoos, the background decor, and unmistakable voices that the internet imploded. That's when the screaming began, figuratively and literally. Rasheeda, known for her quiet strength and relentless loyalty to her husband, Kirk, even after years of cheating allegations, completely snapped. She wasn't just angry. She was devastated, humiliated, and ready to tear down every wall that held their family together. And she wasn't alone. Young Jock, caught in the middle of the drama like a deer in headlights, ended up being dragged into the chaos after fans started connecting dots he wished had stayed buried. What happened behind closed doors? Why was Kendra Scrappy's new legal queen in Young Jock's ex-squad on camera with Rasheeda's husband? And what did Rasheeda do when she saw the footage? We're talking tears, screams, a confrontation that shook VH1 to its knees, and a truth bomb that no one, not even Mona Scott Young herself, could have seen coming. This isn't just a scandal. This is betrayal, family implosion, secrets unearthed, and reputations on the line. Kirk thought his past was behind him, but this tape just might be the nail in the coffin of every relationship he's ever clung to. And as for Kendra, she just went from courtroom queen to social media villain in under 24 hours. Grab your popcorn, because what you're about to witness isn't just drama. It's a breakdown of trust, love, and loyalty in the messiest triangle reality TV has ever seen. Let's break it all down. It started on an unusually quiet Tuesday morning, quiet until the internet erupted. The leaked video was already viral by the time Rasheeda got the first text. At first, she didn't even click the link. She assumed it was one of those scam messages or another messy blog stirring up rumors. But as the pings became relentless, from cousins, friends, even her hairstylist, her fingers began to shake. She opened her phone, clicked the link, and what she saw in those 43 seconds shattered her world. The grainy clip showed Kirk Frost and what looked undeniably like Kendra Robinson, in what could only be described as an intimate moment. Unmistakable tattoos, unmistakable voices, and a setting far too familiar to ignore. Rasheeda dropped the phone. The air left her lungs. Her knees buckled. The walls around her blurred. This couldn't be real. Not again. Not this. She had forgiven Kirk before, more times than she could count, but this was a different level of betrayal. This wasn't just about her husband being unfaithful again. This was about disrespect. About embarrassment. About a man bringing humiliation to her doorstep with someone who was supposed to be family. Because make no mistake, Kendra wasn't just some random woman. She was part of the circle. Married into the crew. A woman Rasheeda had broken bread with, laughed with, prayed for, and now Kendra was naked in a hotel room with her husband, and the whole world had front row seats. Word got to Young Jock fast. Sitting in the studio, trying to lay vocals for a new single, he was mid-hook when the engineer's phone buzzed. "Yo, you seen this?" Jock paused, curious. He leaned over, expecting another meme or a funny TikTok. Instead, he was met with the freeze frame of the video already paused at the halfway mark. His heart dropped. His ex-wife, his homie's girl, on tape with Kirk. It didn't make sense. He grabbed his phone, scrolled through messages, and sure enough, Twitter was a war zone. People tagging him in threads, making jokes, demanding answers. Someone even tweeted, "Young Jock somewhere," screaming into his pompadour RN. Jock laughed nervously. This couldn't be happening. Kendra was supposed to be past all that. And Kirk swore he was a changed man. Jock thought about calling her, then thought about calling Kirk, but his gut said neither would answer right now. Instead, he sat there, stunned, while his engineer played the beat in a loop neither of them could focus on anymore. Back at home, Rasheeda wasn't silent anymore. Her voice shook the walls of their Atlanta home. "You disrespected me in every way possible, Kirk," she screamed, pacing the kitchen like a storm trapped in a bottle. Kirk stood against the fridge, arms folded, eyes low. "I messed up," he muttered. "It wasn't supposed to come out." That line set her off even more. "Oh, so the problem isn't that you did it, tits, that it came out." Her voice cracked, fury and heartbreak mixing in equal parts. "You did this with someone who I trusted, who I hugged at your birthday dinner, Kirk. That girl sat next to me, smiled in my face, and then turned around and did this." Kirk tried to explain. Said it happened during a break in their relationship. Said it was a mistake. Said it was just once. But Rasheeda wasn't buying it. "Not anymore. Don't you dare gaslight me with your little timelines. This ain't the first time, Kirk. It's just the first time the receipts were broadcast to the whole world." Meanwhile, Kendra had gone ghost. Her phone was off. Instagram disabled. No one had heard from her, not even her assistant. Word on the street was that she had left Atlanta and was holed up at a friend's place in Charlotte, trying to figure out how to fix her life before it completely unraveled. Screenshots of past flirty DMs between her and Kirk started to surface, dating back 2 years. "We never crossed the line," one message read, but the tension been there. That line alone fueled the fire. Fans took to social media, calling Kendra a snake, a backstabber, and worse. Her name trended for 12 hours straight, with hashtags like hashtag Kirk and Kendra and hashtag Not My Attorney. People dug up old episodes of Love and Hip Hop, posting side-by-sides of her comforting Rasheeda during Kirk's past scandals. "She was infiltrating the whole time," one fan tweeted. "She sat there giving advice knowing she was next." Young jock, caught in the middle of a storm he didn't cause but couldn't escape, finally broke his silence. He went live on Instagram, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Listen, man," he started, rubbing his face. "This whole situation is wild. I ain't here to defend nobody. But y'all gotta understand, I didn't sign up for this either." He said he hadn't talked to Kendra since the tape dropped. He confirmed it was real. He said he was hurt. "Not 'cause I want her back," he clarified, "but because damn, I ain't see that coming." He paused, eyes darting at the screen, watching the flood of comments roll in. And Kirk, "Bro, we supposed to be brothers. Ain't no coming back from that." He ended the live with a deep sigh and a message that made headlines. "When the people closest to you become strangers, it's time to reevaluate your whole circle." Rasheeda's mother came over later that evening. Miss Shirlene had always been blunt, always been loud, and always had zero tolerance for Kirk's antics. She stormed into the house like she owned it. "Where he at?" she asked. Rasheeda didn't even have to answer. Kirk was upstairs, hiding in the guest room like a child in trouble. "Let me tell you something," Shirlene shouted up the stairs. "You better pack your little gym bag and get out. My daughter done raised you long enough." Rasheeda cried again. This time not from anger but exhaustion. "I don't even have energy to fight anymore," she whispered. "It's like I'm numb." The Frost household wasn't just divided, it was fractured. And with every passing hour, new developments made things worse. TMZ ran a story claiming the tape was leaked from a burner phone that had been stolen from Kirk's luggage. Others speculated it was an intentional leak, maybe even a setup. Some fans believed Mona Scott-Young herself had orchestrated the scandal for ratings. After all, a new season of Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta was scheduled to start filming the following week. Coincidence? No one believed that. Mona, of course, stayed silent. But a cryptic Instagram story from one of her producers, just a popcorn emoji and the words, "Y'all ain't ready," only, added fuel to the fire. Part 1 ends as Rasheeda walks into her closet, grabs her suitcase, and starts packing. She throws in jeans, hoodies, nothing fancy. No makeup, no heels. She's not leaving for glam. She's leaving for clarity. As she zips the bag shut, she takes one last look at the family photos on the dresser, their wedding. The kids, the fake smiles. She picks up one frame, stares at it, then hurls it against the wall. Glass shatters. A symbolic end to a picture. Lie downstairs. Kirk hears the crash. But for once, he doesn't chase her. He just sits on the bottom step, holding his head, realizing that for the first time, he may have broken something that can't be fixed. And upstairs, as Rasheeda walks out of the master bedroom for what might be the last time, her phone buzzes. One new text. Unknown number. It reads, "That tape wasn't the only one." Rasheeda stared at the message, her fingers frozen above the screen, as the weight of those 6 words hit her like a sledgehammer. That tape wasn't the only one. Her heart skipped, then pounded, then dropped. What did that mean? Was this someone playing games with her emotions? Or was there more footage, more betrayal, more humiliation waiting just around the corner? She didn't respond. She couldn't. Instead, she threw the phone into her purse, grabbed her suitcase, and stormed out the door. She needed air. She needed space. She needed to breathe before she broke down in front of her kids. Rasheeda didn't tell anyone where she was going. Not even her mom. She just drove, mind spinning, heart racing, fury boiling beneath the surface. And as she disappeared into the Atlanta traffic, the city buzzed with whispers, screen recordings, and fan theories that turned her personal pain into public spectacle. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast started reacting. Bambi posted a cryptic Instagram story. Karma always spins the block. Erica Mena commented under a Shade Room post, with a single eye emoji. Even Spice, usually one to stay out of others' mess, tweeted, "When friends sleep with friends' men, they all need therapy and holy water." The cast wasn't just watching, they were participating, choosing sides, throwing shade, and adding gasoline to a fire that had already engulfed the entire love and hip-hop community. Back in hiding, Kendra finally turned her phone back on. She was met with a flood of missed calls, voicemails, and threats. Her inbox was a battlefield. Some messages from fans were vicious, calling her homewrecker, traitor, liar. Others were strangely supportive, telling her to stand her ground, to expose Kirk, to tell her truth. Kendra, usually calm and composed, was unraveling. She didn't know who to trust, didn't know where to go. Jock hadn't called. Her own family had gone silent, her assistant quit, even her law firm issued a public statement. Attorney Robinson is currently on personal leave and has no comment at this time. It was falling apart faster than she could process. And then another bomb. The same unknown number that texted, Rasheeda sent a message to her. Only this time, it wasn't a warning, it was a link. No message, just a file. Kendra hesitated, then opened it. Another video, different room, different angle. Same mistake. She dropped the phone, screamed, and burst into tears. She thought the tape had been deleted. Kirk promised her it was gone. But some snake was sitting on a whole vault of their sins. Kirk, on the other hand, was in panic mode. Whatever fake calm he'd shown earlier was now gone. He was pacing his studio, making phone calls, trying to figure out who had leaked the video. "Check the cameras at the hotel," he barked into the phone. "Check my damn laptop." Somebody had access. His team was scrambling. His assistant, Tyrell, swore he had nothing to do with it. "You think I'd ruin your whole life over what? A paycheck?" But Kirk didn't know who to believe. He started accusing everybody. Even hinted that maybe Jock was involved, trying to sabotage him. Out of jealousy, that man's still bitter over Kendra, he muttered to his friend Tony. "Wouldn't surprise me if he wanted payback." But deep down, Kirk knew the truth. This wasn't about sabotage. This was about carelessness. About lust. About thinking with the wrong head. And now, it was costing him everything. Jock, meanwhile, was losing his own mind. He didn't want to believe that Kendra had kept such a secret from him for so long. They may have divorced, but the wound was still fresh. And now to find out that, during their rocky moments, she was sneaking around with one of his closest friends. He felt played. Embarrassed. "That girl made me feel like I was the one who ruined us," he told his cousin on a late-night phone call. "Whole time she was plotting with the same dude who called me bro." Jock wasn't just angry, he was hurt. And hurt Jock was dangerous. Because when Jock gets hurt, Jock starts talking. And that's exactly what he did. The next day, Jock went on a podcast, one of those raw, unfiltered, no-holds-barred shows. He walked in, sat down, and stared straight into the camera. "Let me set the record straight," he said, voice low and firm. "I ain't perfect. Never claimed to be. But if we gonna talk about loyalty, let's be real, some of these people y'all idolize, they snakes in custom suits." The hosts egged him on. "You talking about Kirk?" one asked. Jock smiled bitterly. "I'm talking about whoever the shoe fits. But yeah, if you sleep with your friend's girl past or present, you ain't a man. You a coward." That clip went viral. Twitter exploded. TikTok stitched it. YouTubers dissected it. Jock was done protecting people? The gloves were off. Back at the Frost house, Rasheeda had checked into a quiet Airbnb outside the city. She needed time, but more than that, she needed clarity. Alone with her thoughts, she replayed their entire marriage. Like a movie in her mind, the early days of love. The rise of their business empire. The first betrayal. The second, the third. And now this. She questioned everything. Had it ever been real? Had she sacrificed her identity to build a life with a man who only saw her as convenience? Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Tammy Rivera. "Sis," the text read, "say the word and we ride at dawn." Rasheeda smiled through her tears. The girls were rallying. Sierra sent flowers. Mimi offered to host a girls' night, no cameras, no drama, just support. For the first time in days, Rasheeda felt a flicker of strength return. She wasn't alone. But then, the third tape dropped. Nobody knew where it came from. Nobody knew who leaked it. But this time, the tape was different. It wasn't a sex tape. It was a conversation. A hotel surveillance recording with clear audio, Kendra and Kirk arguing. "You said you erased it." She screamed. "I told you. I deleted it from the cloud," Kirk replied. "But what about the hard drive? The damn USB you kept in the drawer?" Kendra's voice cracked. "If this gets out, I lose everything. My career. My life. And now it's all out there." That clip hit harder than anything. It confirmed what fans already suspected. This wasn't just a fling. This was a covert relationship, one filled with cover-ups, panic, and lies. People started wondering, was this relationship ongoing? Was this more than just one mistake? Rasheeda, back at the Airbnb, watched the third tape. In silence, her face was blank. No more tears, just numbness. Her friend Tasha sat beside her, holding her hand. "You good?" she whispered. Rasheeda shook her head. "No, but I will be." She stood up, walked to the window, and stared out at the trees swaying in the summer wind. Then, without turning back, she said, "This ain't just about a tape anymore. This is war." Young Jock was still reeling when the third leak hit the internet like a tsunami. The audio clear as day confirmed everything he dreaded but hoped wasn't true. This wasn't a drunken one-time hookup or a lapse in judgment. This was calculated. This was premeditated. Kirk had been lying for months, maybe years. And Kendra, the woman Jock once planned to grow old with, had looked him in the eye countless times while actively covering up an affair with his so-called friend. Jock felt like a fool, and he wasn't alone. Fans flooded the comment sections of every blog, every Instagram live, every podcast with disbelief. This ain't no scandal. This is a reality TV apocalypse. Put the cameras down and give these people therapy. The betrayals were layered and thick, each tape peeling back another layer of a much darker, more manipulative truth. Jock didn't want vengeance, but he needed resolution. And the streets were talking. Whispers of more leaks, of Kirk being blackmailed, of a fourth tape that hadn't yet seen the light of day. The energy around this mess was electric. Everyone knew it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Back at the Frost house, Kirk was spiraling. The walls were closing in. Every friend he called sent him straight to voicemail. His publicist dropped him. VH1 execs sent him a cold, vague email. "We are reviewing current production contracts in light of recent events." Even his barber canceled. "Too much heat, bro," he'd said. Kirk hadn't been this isolated since his first cheating scandal, but even then, Rasheeda had stood by him. Not this time. This time, Rasheeda was silent. She hadn't returned home. She hadn't called. And with every hour that passed, Kirk began to understand something he never thought possible. He had finally pushed her beyond forgiveness. Rasheeda, meanwhile, wasn't resting. Her silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. She met with lawyers. She met with her mom. She even met privately with a small film crew. Not VH1. Not Mona's people. Her people. "If they gonna tell my story," she told her hairstylist, "I'm gonna be the one holding the pen." She was preparing to speak on her terms. Not just about the scandal, but about the years of pain she had buried beneath lip gloss and loyalty. But before that, she needed to confront the final person in this twisted triangle. Kendra. It took days to track her down. Kendra had been holed up in a luxury condo downtown, avoiding everyone ever him and herself. But she couldn't avoid Rasheeda. When the knock came, Kendra hesitated. She looked through the peephole. Her stomach dropped. Rasheeda stood on the other side, arms crossed, face unreadable. Kendra opened the door slowly, unsure what to expect. A slap, a scream, a tearful breakdown. But Rasheeda gave her none of it. "We're gonna talk," she said simply, walking past her like she owned the place. Kendra closed the door behind her, her voice trembling. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Rasheeda turned to her, eyes cold. "But it did happen. And you let it happen. With my husband, over and over again." Kendra's shoulders slumped. I thought it was over. I thought the videos were gone. He told me, Rasheeda cut her off. I don't care what he told you. I want to hear it from you. Every detail. Every lie. Every time you sat across from me, smiling, while planning your next little meet. Kendra cracked. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. It started after you guys split for a while. He told me you were done. That he was done. That he was lonely. And I was angry at Jock. I needed someone. And Kirk. He was just there. Rasheeda's jaw clenched. So he was your emotional support system. My husband became your therapist and your secret lover. Kendra nodded slowly, ashamed. It wasn't supposed to be serious. But then feelings got involved. And when you two got back together, I didn't know how to stop it. It was like we were stuck. Rasheeda let out a cold, humorless laugh. Stuck. Girl, this ain't a love triangle. It's a damn hostage situation, and you played your role well. She stood to leave. You've lost everything, Kendra, but me. I'm just getting started. That same night, Jock got a mysterious DM from an account with no profile picture and only 3 followers. It contained one thing. A short clip, just 12 seconds. But enough to send chills down his spine. Kirk and Kendra again. Only this time, they were laughing, joking, plotting. We just gotta be careful around Jock, Kirk said. He's emotional. He'll crack if he suspects anything. Kendra responded. Don't worry, I know how to handle him. He still thinks I'm madly in love with him. Jock watched it 3 times before deleting it. Then he poured himself a drink, stared at his phone, and whispered, I can't believe I ever trusted either of you. The tension hit its peak when VH1 announced they were postponing production on the new season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta due to unforeseen personal conflicts. Everyone knew what that meant. Rasheeda had pulled out, and without her, the center couldn't hold. But the chaos didn't stop there. Kirk got served divorce papers, delivered in public, while he was eating lunch at his favorite diner. Someone took a picture. It went viral. The caption read, even the waitress looked uncomfortable. And just when it seemed like the saga had reached its climax, a final twist flipped everything on its head. Rasheeda received an unmarked envelope at her Airbnb. Inside was a USB drive. Just one file. No message. She plugged it in, her hands trembling. The video loaded security footage from a hotel room hallway. A man in a hoodie slipping something into the ventilation system. And on the footage's timestamp, the exact day before the first tape leaked. It wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. Someone had planted those tapes. Someone had waited to destroy Kirk, Kendra, and maybe even Rasheeda. Who was behind it? Jock, seeking revenge. Mona Scott Young playing puppet master. Or was it someone even closer? Someone with everything to gain from watching them all fall apart. Rasheeda stared at the screen as the grainy video played on a loop, heart pounding as the figure in the hoodie moved with precision like someone who knew exactly what they were doing. It wasn't Kirk. It wasn't Jock. And it definitely wasn't Kendra. This person was taller, broader, and from the way they avoided every camera angle except that one, smarter, calculated. Someone with access. Someone with a plan. She watched, again, zooming in on the screen. There was something familiar about the way he walked, confident but cautious. She paused it at the frame where his face turned slightly toward the camera. The lighting was poor, the cap low, but for a split second, something clicked. Her breath caught. It was Tony, Kirk's longtime friend, business partner, and the one man who had stuck by Kirk's side through every scandal. But why? Why would Tony leak the tapes? Unless he wanted something more than friendship. Unless this wasn't about betrayal, it was about business. Power, money, control, and Rasheeda wasn't wrong, because halfway across Atlanta, in a quiet lounge, cloaked in low jazz and darker secrets, Tony was having a very different kind of meeting. Seated with a mid-level producer from another network, one that had long envied VH1's reality, Rainey smiled as he slid a folder across the table. Inside were contracts, episode outlines, and most importantly, the real footage. We got 6 episodes worth of fallout, and that's before the court cases hit, he said calmly. All I need is a green light and a production crew. The producer leaned back, whistling low. You just turned reality TV into premium drama, he said. Tony raised his glass. I turned their weakness into my empire. And with that, toast. The betrayal behind the betrayal revealed itself. Back at the Frost household, now practically a museum of silence, Kirk sat alone on the back patio. He had watched the internet burn with his name for 2 straight weeks. His kids wouldn't talk to him. His bank had flagged suspicious withdrawals on a business account. Turns out, Tony had been siphoning money for months under dummy invoices. And now Rasheeda had filed for divorce, turned off her phone, and refused mediation. The walls were closing in, fast. But it wasn't just about the scandal anymore. It was the humiliation. Kirk had always bounced back. From cheating, from lawsuits, from fights. But this felt permanent. Like something inside him had finally cracked beyond repair. Meanwhile, Rasheeda wasn't sitting in sorrow anymore. She was standing in purpose. With her legal team now aware of Tony's role, she moved fast. A restraining order was filed. A cease and desist was drafted. And quietly, her team prepared a public statement that would shake the very industry she'd helped build. "I've been silent for too long," she told her stylist as they prepared her for the video shoot. "I've covered 4 men. Smiled through scandals. Took the high road while they danced in the dirt. Not anymore. I'm telling my story. And this time nobody's gonna cut the cameras." She recorded it in one take. No script, no edits. Just her, sitting in her home studio, raw and unfiltered. "To the fans who've supported me, thank you. To the women who DM'd me saying, 'Leave him, I heard you.' To the people who laughed at my pain and called it entertainment, may God deal with you. And to the man who took vows with me only to break every single one in private and public, I release you. Not with hate, not with revenge, but with finality. You don't deserve access to my light anymore." The video dropped at midnight. Within hours, it was trending across platforms. Hashtags like #RASHEEDA Rising, #Protect Black Women, and #Final Straw exploded. Celebrities reposted. Fans cried. Women stood up. Rasheeda had gone from reality star to revolutionary in a single post. Jock, watching the video from his studio, nodded solemnly. "About damn time," he muttered. He posted a message of support, tagging Rasheeda. "You deserved better. Always did." His fans, once questioning his silence, now praised his grace. Kendra, on the other hand, remained invisible, silent, vanished from social media. Sources claimed she had taken a sabbatical from the law, had moved out of state, and was undergoing therapy for trauma and anxiety. But some fans weren't so quick to forgive. A Reddit thread titled, "Where's Kendra?" grew into a rabbit hole of speculations. Some said she was pregnant. Others believed she was preparing her own docuseries. One user wrote, "Mark my words, she's coming back, with a podcast and a vengeance." And Kirk? Well, karma came fast. Tony's footage was now property of a rival network, and a new show exposed. The Fall of a Reality King was officially in production. Only this time, Kirk wasn't the executive producer. He was the subject. And every tape, every lie, every tear would now be broadcast to millions without his control. VH1 cut ties. Endorsements vanished, and Rasheeda's team filed an injunction to freeze shared assets until the court could rule on spousal misconduct. But for Rasheeda, it was never about money. It was about peace, healing, reclamation. And as she walked the red carpet of a women's empowerment gala weeks later, in a silver gown that shimmered like armor, the cameras flashed not for scandal, but for celebration. Reporters shouted questions. "Will you ever forgive Kirk?" One asked. She paused, smiled slightly, and said, "Forgiveness is for me, but access, that's gone forever." Behind her, fans screamed her name. Young Jock appeared, escorted her inside, and the two shared a warm hug. No romance, just respect. Two survivors of the same storm, the same betrayal, and perhaps, two people finally seeing each other clearly after all the smoke had cleared. And while Kirk watched from a hotel room alone, unemployed, and uninvited, he finally understood what he'd lost. Not just Rasheeda, but the version of himself that once had her trust. Because in the end, when all the tapes are played, and all the truths come out, loyalty ain't just a word. It's a decision, a discipline. And Kirk Frost. He failed the test. And now, after the dust has settled after the tapes, the tears, the lies, and the betrayals, one thing is crystal clear. This wasn't just another reality TV scandal. This was an empire crumbling from the inside. A love story turned cautionary tale, a woman reclaiming her power, a man finally forced to face the consequences of his own destruction. But most of all, it was a reckoning. Rasheeda, once the quiet backbone of a chaotic marriage, is now standing in her truth and doing it without apology. Kirk, the man who thought he'd always have one more chance, one more excuse, now has only silence to keep him company. And Kendra, whether she resurfaces to tell her side or vanishes for good, her name is forever tied to one of the most shocking betrayals the love and hip-hop world has ever seen. But this story isn't over, not even close. The footage in Tony's hands. That's just the beginning. A new show is brewing. New alliances are forming. And the fans, oh, they're watching, waiting, ready to choose sides all over again. Will Kirk try to rebuild? Will Jock and Rasheeda collaborate on something powerful? Will Kendra ever face the cameras and tell the truth about what really went down behind closed doors? And most importantly, who leaked the tapes? And why? We want to hear from you. Was Rasheeda right to walk away for good? Do you think Kirk truly regrets what he's done, or is he just sorry he got caught? Can Kendra ever redeem herself in the public eye? And do you think Tony was the real villain all along? Or just the puppet master behind a web of scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, don't hold back. Make sure to like this video if you were shocked, angry, or just straight up speechless by this breakdown. And hit that subscribe button if you want all the latest tea, drama, and exclusive updates as this story continues to unfold. We've got more receipts, more twists, and way more reality chaos coming your way. Because in the world of love, loyalty, and limelight, nothing stays buried for long. Until next time, keep your screens ready. You never know whose truth is about to leak next.